did a little test and it saved it just fine. So
Okay.
now
so
we
start.
should be good. Just
Okay.
start over. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. During the past few weeks when we've been studying the book of Acts, I was reminded of my favorite New Testament story from Acts 27. It's often called the storm. It's this harrowing story of Paul, who's a prisoner. He's on his way to Rome. The weather is terrible. The seas are rough. It's a mess. The crew has thrown everything non essential overboard. They've tied the ship together as best they can, and they're about to jettison their food. It seems pretty clear that all 276 of them are destined to die. And then Paul receives a message from God, and he awakes to share it with the crew, and it has to be one of the best good news, bad news stories ever. Paul says, the good news is we're all going to be saved. The bad news is we have to be shipwrecked on an island. I think of the story often in hard times that having faith doesn't mean we won't have difficulties. Sometimes having faith means that when it's our time to run aground, there will be an island. So this past year of faith in a time of pandemic has often felt like a storm to me. Every rhythm and routine and pattern of life was turned upside down. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are sick and dying. There's political upheaval, racial injustice, violence. And in the middle of all of that, my husband died. I was shipwrecked, and the boat that had been my life was in pieces all around me. Paul said, keep up your courage, for I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I've been told. So for a little bit, my island became a corner of the couch in the sunroom, looking out at the woods. From that vantage point, the nearest tree is all trunk, all scarred trunk. It's been hit by lightning a couple of times. It's been strangled by vines. It's been invaded by some kind of bugs. And it really looks dead. But I know if I get out of my cozy little nest and crane my neck and look up, there's a canopy of branches and leaves and birds and squirrels, and that tree is alive. It's resilient, and I'm resilient too. That resilience is grounded in my faith. It's what gives me hope and courage and strength. But in this last difficult pandemic year, it really has been the community of faith that has seen me through. It's that community of faith that sustains and encourages me. And I really believe that it is in the giving and receiving of love and care with others that we feel the full impact of God's love for us. Sometimes that means we have to stand together while parts of our lives go overboard. Or it means reaching out with help and we don't ask, are you a captive or are you a crew? We just do what needs to be done. We do hard things, we have hard conversations, and thankfully we laugh, sometimes a lot. We're in this good news, bad news boat together, sometimes in smooth sailing and sometimes in storm. But it's our faith that keeps us showing up for one another and gets us all to that promised island. So if the book of Acts provided the storyline for my pandemic year, it was the songwriter and poet Carrie Newcomer who provided the soundtrack. She sings, I can't promise that it will all turn out fine, but I know there is help in hard times. Thanks be to God. Amen.